Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah, we find ourselves right at the brink of Ramadan. SubhanAllah, the days are going by so fast and our countdown is getting smaller and smaller by the day. But as the days get closer and closer to the beginning of Ramadan, we also find ourselves a little apprehensive. It's not the apprehensiousness of worrying about being able to fast. It's not, the mad shopping race like we usually do every Ramadan. I'm sure that you're with me in some concern about how Ramadan is going to go without going to the mosque for Taraweeh, without going to the mosque to do iftar, without going over to people's homes for iftar invitations, and on Eid, how much more difficult it's going to be for us to be able to get together with our family and our friends and our community. But in the essential aspects of Ramadan, I believe that we're going to be more blessed this year because the blessings can come from an increase in tawfiq and our taqwa and our sincerity. And so this is how I want to break it down. So we'll look at each of the aspects of Ramadan, and we have to really think, do we need to have close contact with others? Do we need to physically get together with others in order to really benefit ourselves and our relationship with Allah through our relationship with the Quran? Do we have to have these interactions during Ramadan? And of course, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has decreed that this is how it's going to go this Ramadan. So I really think that if we really use our imaginations and we try to think outside the box, outside of our normal experience during Ramadan, that we can have the best Ramadan ever. So number one, let's look at the Taraweeh, right? This is the main thing that people were thinking about when they heard the quarantine was going to be extended. Taraweeh, how are we going to be able to see our brothers and sisters in Islam, praying beside them, hearing the Imam recite? SubhanAllah, this is a beautiful thing that happens during Ramadan, but it shouldn't be the only thing that happens. It should not be the only time of year when we stand up in the last third of the night or in the late night to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to read the Quran that we've been studying, and to try to get closer to Allah by forsaking sleep. SubhanAllah, during the day we are forsaking our appetites, and during the night we should be forsaking our sleep. It's a whole training ground, the whole month of Ramadan. However, Taraweeh is something that takes place because it's a special thing done together during Ramadan, but it's actually tahajjud and witr, which are the habits that we should have the whole year long. So the beautiful thing to me about this Ramadan is that we're going to be making the tahajjud and we're going to be making the witr, but we're going to be making them in our homes. We're going to have to motivate ourselves to spend time with the Quran and to prepare and read the Quran for our own selves and for our own families. So to me, the Taraweeh might be very, very well missed, but the tahajjud and the witr are something that can continue with us. We're going to be used to our own homes and our own surroundings, standing before Allah in the nighttime to recite the Quran and pray. And we won't associate it in our minds and in our habits with the masjid, so that, at the end of Ramadan, when they no longer have Taraweeh, we are still going to be making our tahajjud and our witr in our homes because we're used to being in our own surroundings offering this night prayer. So this is the first aspect of it. I was really thinking about that this can really make the night prayer very sweet for us and very consistent for us. The other aspect of community getting together and the social distancing being a problem is community iftars. This is something that's really going to hit our family because we usually go once or twice a week to somebody's house or to the mosque to break fast with a bunch of other people. And there's such a beautiful community atmosphere about waiting to break the fast and hearing the adhan and really coming closer to our community at large by fasting together and breaking our fast together and offering our maghrib salah at least together. And subhanAllah, the iftar, this is a tricky one. This is going to be the one that's going to be very challenging. But again, we have to think outside the box. We have to think, okay, this is the situation of our Ramadan. So how are we going to be able to move forward and really benefit ourselves and our community during Ramadan? So for the iftar, imagine that you are going to be able to share your food with somebody else. You can't actually go to your neighbor and go sit down and eat with them, but you can concern yourself with those people who have much, much less than you. Those people who never have the ability to actually eat in a large group and eat a large amount of food. The people who, for every day that they have in their lives is hard, and with quarantine is even harder. Imagine the people that are living in shelters in our own cities, the homeless people. and the people who are living in other areas of the world that really need our support and our help. So as much as we want to have this community feeling of breaking fast and making iftar with others, we should think about those people, as fasting usually does make you want to think about those people who are less fortunate. Let's think about now what we could do during iftars to make our iftars especially sincere, that we are going to now donate money and donate food and that to those people who have less than us, and that we can bring this charity to our food and to our grocery bill and to share it with others in this way, which will make it safe, and it can make it blessed as well. Alhamdulillah. The third thing is, of course, the thing that comes along with iftar, and this is a fasting with our community. But we remember that fasting is actually something that's supposed to be between us and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone. You may be fasting in a whole group of other people, and you might be attending Quran classes and attending other halakas and things at the mosque and the masjids, but then only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows that you are fasting. Only Allah knows the level at which you're fasting. Are you controlling your temper? Are you lowering your gaze? Are you trying to come closer to Allah with your fasting? Whether or not you're eating, the fasting is something that's supposed to be taking with you day and night. You're supposed to be suppressing your appetites, suppressing your desires, and doing the things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves more. This is something that's part of fasting, whether or not you have to eat or whether or not you're able to actually fast. And this is something that's beautiful this Ramadan, because we don't have that peer pressure, right? We don't have that peer pressure. Some of us may have large families and we have the peer pressure at home to some extent, but not so much when you go to the mosque, where, you know, if the younger children, that they're still deciding if they want to fast, they'll definitely fast on the day when they're going to be going to the masjid for iftar, because they want to be fasting with everybody else. That pressure and that motivation is taken away this Ramadan, where we're going to be fasting on our own. We're going to be fasting in our own homes, and we're going to be having our iftar and breaking our fast in our own homes. The other thing that we could do with breaking our fast and fasting along is, of course, to try to keep family ties and connect with people, you know, through the video chats and through calling and keeping in touch with everybody else, because this is a time that people are going to need more emotional support and everything. But the basic thing is that fasting, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that in the Hadith Qudsi, fasting is mine. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala rewards from him, and we are so excited to imagine what kind of reward Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would give us for fasting, for his sake and his sake alone. And that sincerity is going to be brought up more during this Ramadan. And so for the Quran. Now, when we know that the month of Quran is Ramadan, and we think about our recitation of the Quran, the beautiful thing about this Ramadan is that when we recite our Quran and we get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through his book, we are personally getting that reward. If we went to the masjid and we were listening to Taraweeh, or we were listening to somebody recite, or we had our lessons, our Quran lessons at the mosque, then the teacher gets the reward, the imam gets a reward, and we share in that reward. But to be the one that's standing up and reciting the Quran for others, this is the reward that we can get this Ramadan. We can get that reward of being the one that actually reads the Quran, being the one who is presenting the Quran to others, subhanAllah, and be the main voice of the Quran in your home and in your household. SubhanAllah. So I am not joking when I say that I think this Ramadan could be the best ever. This Ramadan could really be our simple back to basics Ramadan. It could be the reset for all the Ramadans that go after this one. We could finally get back to eating simply. We could finally get back to just simple recitation of the Quran, simple study at home of the Quran. The head of the household and anybody who's any student of the Quran will be the ones that are actually reciting in their own home to read the Quran and make that a consistent habit at home to recite the Quran, and to offer the night prayer, to fast on a regular basis, and to give charity. SubhanAllah, to me, this boost in sincerity due to our circumstances with quarantine, having to stay home, this is a great opportunity for all Muslims to be able to really bring this Ramadan into their hearts. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it easy for all of us. May Allah allow us to really experience the sweetness of the sincerity of all the acts that we do during Ramadan. Jazakallahu khairan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi.